Picture the scene. It is midnight at State House. The corridors are quiet. The official presidential speechwriters are asleep. And the polished, highly sanitized presidential communication service is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, the President of the Republic of Kenya fires up his phone and drops an all caps. He drops a raw. He drops an unedited digital hand grenade straight into the heart of Kenya's political landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a tweet. This is an explosive. This is a high stakes. This is a late night political thriller. To the untrained eye, this looks like a sudden, this looks like a middle of the night temper tantrum over a bad newspaper headline. But don't be fooled, ladies and gentlemen. This is a deeply calculated battle for political survival. So, what broke the camel's back? You see, just as before, KTN News aired a devastating expose titled The Gallery of RUTO's Lies. You see, KTN did not just critique William Ruto. KTN brutally atomized every unfulfilled campaign promise. They brutally atomized every stalled major project, and they mockingly crowned William Ruto as Mr. 6 months. To make matters worse, this broadcast by KTN dropped right after the president signed the deeply controversial Finance Bill 2026 into law, and right on the eve of the historic anniversary of the Gen Z protest. Talk about a pressure cooker. Now, allow me to bring this down to earth with a simple layman example. Imagine a village chief who spends months forcing the villagers to pay a heavy grain tax in order to fund a grand village granary. And just as the chief seals the law, the town crier, in this case the Standard Media Group, stands right in the middle of a crowded market square, holding a giant scroll. On that scroll, ladies and gentlemen, is a list of every single granary the chief previously promised that is currently rotting and empty. So the chief doesn't just get mad at the message. The chief bypasses the crier, and the chief attacks the crier's father, Gideon Moi, in order to shift the blame. As the old African proverb wisely says, the zebra cannot hide its stripes, even if it runs into the thickest forest. By explicitly naming Gideon Moi, the President of the Republic of Kenya is trying to reframe a legitimate journalistic audit of his scorecard into an old money versus a new money feud. The president wants the public to see this not as a critique of his governance. He wants the public to see this as a dynastic prince trying to extort a self-made hustler. Now, allow me to peel back the layers of drama and look at the absolute constitutional paradox at play in this particular scenario. You see, the President of the Republic of Kenya wraps his fury in patriotism. The President declares that Kenya belongs to all Kenyans, not you alone. Beautiful words, right? But you see, the raw intimidation behind those words flies straight into a brick wall of democratic safeguards. Allow me to look at the supreme law of the land. You see, Article 34 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 explicitly states that the state shall not exercise control over or interfere with anyone engaged in broadcasting. When the most powerful man in the country tells a major media house to do your worst, that thin line between dismissing criticism and state-sponsored intimidation completely vanishes. While the President of the Republic of Kenya has a personal right to defend his name, Chapter 6 and Article 33 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 demands leadership, demands integrity, and demands decorum. Critics are already shouting from the rooftops that the chaotic, punctuation, and aggressive tone are deeply, profoundly unprecedented. Be that as it may, history in the Republic of Kenya loves irony. And you see, this fight between William Ruto and Gideon Moi is absolutely drenched in history. You see, the Standard Group is Kenya's oldest media house. For decades, during the Nyayo era of the 1990s, the Standard Group was the heavily protected, the de facto voice of the political establishment. And guess who was a zealous, guess who was the rising political star under that very establishment wing? It was none other than a young William Ruto. Consider how the tables have turned. In the 1990s, the Moi machinery protected the state. But in this era, that same media machinery is a relentless, aggressive auditor of State House. And you see, William Ruto views his former political home as an existential threat. There is a historical proverb that perfectly captures this beautiful rehearsal. You see, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. You see, the tools of aggressive political warfare that the president mastered during his meteoric rise are now being deployed against him by the corporate legacy left behind by his former political mentor, Daniel Torotich Arab Moi. So what is the ultimate play here? When the president challenges the media to Jaribu 8 days a week, the president is executing the oldest trick in the political playbook. And that trick, ladies and gentlemen, is called the siege mentality. You see, by painting himself as a victim of extortionist propaganda and corporate greed, the president is sending a powerful signal to his political base. The president is trying to say that, look, the heavy taxation in the finance bill is not the problem. The housing levy is not the problem. SHA is not the problem. Giving passports and IDs to illegal immigrants is not the problem. The problem is the corrupt. The problem is the wealthy elites who wants to blackmail your president into submission. It is a fantastic, high-stakes, controversial gamble. If the public buys the narrative that the media is just acting out of spite, then the president of the Republic of Kenya wins a massive reprieve. But if the public looks past the angry capital letters, if the public ignores the distractions, if the public focuses predominantly on that gallery of lies, then the political fallout for this administration is going to be severe. And that gallery of lies by KTN News might send William RUTO to Sogoi in 2027. Ladies and gentlemen, the gauntlet has been thrown down. The president said, do your worst. Now Kenyans, the Republic of Kenya, is waiting to see between William RUTO and KTN News and Gideon Moi, who is going to blink fast. My name is Biketi. If it is your first time here, make sure to follow this channel and to subscribe for more political analysis.